You can spend 6 hours making a brilliant YouTube video that hardly anybody watches. Great script, great editing, great thumbnail, and almost no views. Then somebody else makes what looks like a much simpler video on a very similar subject, and it takes off. Usually we blame the algorithm, but very often the problem happened before YouTube ever had a chance to recommend the video. It happened when you chose the topic, because there's a huge difference between a topic that sounds like a good idea and a topic for which there's already evidence that people want the answer. And if you learn how to spot that evidence before you hit record, you can dramatically improve the odds that your next video actually gets watched. So in this video, I'm going to show you a simple way to evaluate a YouTube topic before you make the video. Not predict the future, nobody can guarantee views, but we can stop choosing topics purely because they seem interesting, because an AI suggested them, or because somebody told us they're trending. Instead, I'll show you how to look for 3 things: evidence of demand, evidence that the existing answers aren't completely satisfying that demand, and an angle that gives your video a genuine reason to exist. Put those 3 things together and you've got something much more useful than a list of keywords. You've got evidence that a potential opportunity exists. But there's one part of this that's very easy to get wrong. In fact, one of the signals people often use to reject a video idea can sometimes be evidence that they found a particularly interesting opportunity. It seems backwards when you first see it. I'll show you what I mean in a few minutes. First, though, we need to make an important distinction. Most people start their YouTube research by asking, what are people searching for? That's useful, but it's incomplete because search demand doesn't automatically equal video opportunity. Imagine you discover that people are searching for how to get more views on YouTube. Obviously, there's demand, but search for it and look at what you're competing with. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of videos, tackling some variation of the same problem. So finding demand is only the first part of the job. What we really want to know is there demand that I can serve in a useful or distinctive way? And I'd break that down into 3 signals. Let's call them demand, weakness, opportunity. Here's how they work. Signal 1, is there genuine demand? The first question is simple. What evidence do I have that real people actually care about this? And notice I said evidence, not intuition, not I reckon people would be interested in this, not ChatGPT gave me 50 video ideas. AI is incredibly useful for brainstorming, but AI being able to invent a plausible video title isn't evidence that anybody wants to watch it. So, look for behavioral clues. Start typing the problem into YouTube search and see what autocomplete suggests. Look at the videos already appearing. Read the comments. Look at related questions being asked. Check Google if the subject has search intent outside YouTube. Look at forums, Reddit discussions, Facebook groups, comments on competing videos, anywhere your audience naturally talks about the problem. You're looking for evidence that people are doing something, searching, watching, asking, complaining, trying, failing, comparing. Those behaviors are much more useful than simply asking, is this a popular niche? For example, suppose your niche is gardening. Gardening tips is a subject. My tomato plants are flowering but not producing tomatoes is a problem. The second one tells us much more about what somebody actually wants. And that matters because YouTube viewers don't necessarily arrive looking for content. Very often they arrive looking for progress. They want something explained, fixed, achieved, avoided, decided, or understood. So instead of asking, is this a popular topic? Ask, what is somebody trying to accomplish by watching this video? That one change can massively improve your topic selection. But demand alone still isn't enough, because sometimes the more obvious the demand is, the more creators have already piled into it, which brings us to the second signal. Signal 2, how well is that demand already being served? This is where things get interesting. Search for your proposed topic and look at the existing videos. But don't just ask, are there lots of videos? Ask, how well do these videos actually answer what I think the viewer wants? Because competition isn't simply the number of videos. 10 excellent videos answering the exact question may be tougher competition than 500 mediocre videos that dance around it. So look at what's actually ranking or being recommended. Are the videos old? Are the titles vague? Are they answering a broader question than the one you want to answer? Do they spend 15 minutes getting to something that could be explained in 5? Are viewers asking unanswered questions in the comments? Do several videos repeat exactly the same advice? Is there an important audience being ignored? Maybe everything is aimed at beginners. Maybe everything assumes expensive software. Maybe the advice works for large channels, but not small ones. Maybe everybody explains what to do, but nobody demonstrates how to do it. That's what I mean by answer weakness. You're not necessarily looking for a subject nobody has covered. That's actually where people sometimes go wrong. They think, if nobody has made a video about this, I've found an untapped opportunity. Maybe, or maybe nobody made it because nobody cares. An empty search result isn't automatically a goldmine. Sometimes it's just an empty field. What's more interesting is finding proven interest where the available answers leave something unresolved. And one of the best places to discover that is underneath the existing videos, the comments. Because comments can reveal the gap between what the creator thought they answered and what the audience actually needed. Suppose a video explains how to start a faceless YouTube channel, and underneath it people are asking, but how do I choose a niche? Can this work without AI voices? How long should the videos be? What if I don't want to use stock footage? Those aren't random comments, they're clues. Each one potentially points towards the viewer's next problem, which means you're no longer trying to invent content, you're following the audience. And now we get to the third signal. Signal 3. Do you have a genuine positioning opportunity? Let's say you've found demand. You've found weaknesses in the existing answers. Now ask, why should my version exist? This doesn't mean you need some revolutionary discovery nobody has ever heard of before. Often the opportunity comes from specificity. Take our original example, how to get more views on YouTube. That's enormously broad. But imagine narrowing the underlying problem. How do I get views when I've got fewer than 100 subscribers? How do I know whether my topic or thumbnail is killing my views? Why did one YouTube video get 10,000 views when my others get 200? How can I find video topics people are already looking for? How do I know whether a YouTube topic is too competitive before I make the video? Now we're getting somewhere. It's still the same broad audience. They still want more views, but each video enters that desire through a more precise doorway. That precision can be your opportunity, and there are several ways to create it. You can narrow the audience, narrow the problem, change the mechanism, remove an obstacle, challenge an assumption, compare two choices, show an example, demonstrate a process, or answer the question that naturally comes after the obvious question. That last one is particularly powerful because instead of fighting everybody for the biggest keyword, you can ask, what does somebody need to know immediately before or immediately after this? If somebody searches for how to get more views on YouTube, what happened just before that? Perhaps they've been uploading videos that aren't getting views. So they might ask, why are my YouTube videos getting no views? Or, how do I know what my audience actually wants to watch? And what happens after they learn how to get more views? Maybe the next question becomes, how do I turn YouTube views into subscribers? Or, how do I turn YouTube viewers into email subscribers? Or, how often should I upload if I want my channel to grow? You're mapping a journey rather than collecting keywords, and that gives you far more possible entrances into the same audience. And if you'd like some help doing this, I've put together a free YouTube topic opportunity scorecard you can download using the link in the description. It gives you a simple way to take a video idea you're considering and check it for demand, weaknesses in the existing content, and your own positioning opportunity before you spend hours making the video. So instead of staring at a list of ideas wondering which one to choose, you can actually compare them. Now, there's another signal we need to talk about, because this is the one that can look completely wrong at first. Imagine you're researching a topic. Most of the videos have fairly modest viewing figures, 500 views, 1,200 views, 2,000 views. Then there's one sitting there with 85,000. A lot of creators look at that and think, well, that's obviously an anomaly. And sometimes it is, but don't dismiss it. Investigate it, especially if the channel itself isn't enormous, because what you may be looking at is an outlier. A video performing substantially better than you'd normally expect in that environment. And the useful question isn't, how do I copy this video? It's, what did this video understand about the audience that the others missed? Look at the title, the thumbnail, the specificity of the problem, the promise, the emotional angle, the timing, the comments. What are people responding to? Perhaps all the other videos say 10 ways to save money, but the outlier says, I stopped buying these 7 things and saved £400 a month. Same broad subject, completely different framing. One is generic advice. The other creates specificity, curiosity, and a concrete result. That doesn't mean you copy the title and change a few words. You're trying to identify the underlying reason people chose it. And sometimes you'll discover that the real opportunity wasn't the subject at all. It was the way the subject connected with what the viewer actually wanted. That brings us to something else I'd like to check before choosing a topic. Separate topic failure from packaging failure. A video can have a good topic and still fail because the topic is what the video is about. The title and thumbnail determine whether somebody feels compelled to investigate it. So when you're researching potential topics, don't simply look at videos with low views and conclude nobody wants this. Look at how they were packaged. Would you click them? Can you immediately tell what you'll get? Is there a recognizable problem? A desirable outcome? A reason to care now rather than someday? If the underlying question appears repeatedly, but the existing videos have weak titles and thumbnails, you may not be looking at weak demand. You may be looking at weak packaging. That distinction matters enormously, because otherwise you can reject perfectly good opportunities based on somebody else's execution. And now we can turn everything we've covered into a very simple test. Before I make a video, I want to be able to answer 4 questions. 1. What does the viewer specifically want? Not the broad subject, the result, answer or progress they want. 2. What evidence tells me they actually want it? Search, behavior, existing views, repeated questions, comments, discussions, outliers, something observable. 3. What's missing or weak in the existing answers? Specificity, recency, simplicity, proof, demonstration, a particular audience, a next step. And 4. Why is my version worth clicking? What makes my angle more relevant, useful, interesting, or specific? If you can't answer those questions, I wouldn't necessarily abandon the topic, but I'd keep researching before investing several hours making the video. Because recording should ideally be the result of research, not the beginning of it. And this brings me back to the slightly backwards signal I mentioned earlier. A topic having competition isn't necessarily bad news. Competition can be evidence of demand. If you find plenty of videos, some strong viewing figures, active comments, and creators repeatedly returning to the subject, the market is telling you something. People care about this. The question isn't, how do I find a topic with no competition? It's, where is there proven demand that still contains an opening for a better, narrower, fresher, or more useful answer? That's a completely different way of doing YouTube research. You stop searching for magical, untouched keywords and you start searching for gaps between what audiences want and what the existing videos give them. That gap is where some of your most interesting opportunities can appear. And remember, if you want a quick way to assess your own ideas using this approach, the YouTube Topic Opportunity Scorecard is linked below. Use it on 3 or 4 topics rather than just one. The comparison is often what makes the strongest opportunity suddenly obvious. Here's one final technique that can uncover ideas most creators completely miss. Don't only research the videos competing with the video you're planning. Research the journey surrounding the video. Take the question your video answers and ask, what did this person probably search for yesterday? And what will they probably search for tomorrow? For example, somebody searching how to choose a profitable YouTube niche might previously have searched, is it too late to start a YouTube channel? And afterwards they might search, how do I find my first 20 YouTube video ideas? Then how often should I upload? Then why aren't my YouTube videos getting views? Then how do I improve my click-through rate? That sequence is incredibly valuable because instead of seeing 6 unrelated keywords, you're seeing one person making progress. And if your channel can help them at several points along that journey, you're no longer building isolated videos, you're building a body of content around an audience. That's a much stronger foundation for a channel. So here's what I do immediately after this video. Before you make your next YouTube video, write down 3 possible topics. Don't script them yet, don't record them. Research each one. Find evidence of demand. Look at the existing answers. Read the comments. Find any unusual outliers. Work out what the viewer really wants. Then write one sentence for each topic answering this question. Why does my version of this video deserve to exist? If you can answer that clearly, you've got something worth investigating. If you can't, keep looking, because the goal isn't to predict exactly how many views a video will get. Nobody can do that reliably. The goal is to stop gambling hours of your time on ideas chosen with no evidence at all. Find the demand, find the weakness, find your opening, then make the video.